All pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry for the tardiness. Go ahead, roll call, please.
Lois Tiley,
Present.
Diane Dennis, absent. Christine Newman,
Here.
Richard Horner,
Here.
Michael Nesbitt,
Present.
Kathy Harris,
Here.
and Sarah Tiley.
Here.
Thank you. Are there any adjustments to the agenda?
No, sir.
Motion to accept the agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Any announcements or public comments? If not, let's go to the Spicer report.
Well, good evening.
Morning, John.
Hi.
Or good evening, John. Told you, T, right?
So you should have a copy of our report. Things of note, the drinking water asset management grant was approved by Eagle, little over $397,000. We will be starting on that yet this week. The first thing that we're gonna be going through is we have to bid out the excavation services, so we will be putting together a bid package for the vacuum excavation to locate the water services and do the inventory and material designation for the water services. So that'll be one of the first things we do, is get that bid package together to get those services done. Also, we'll be leaning on Hart and Jen to get us a list of all of the water customers in the village, so we can put together a randomized sampling, so we can figure out where we're gonna be doing those excavations. So that'll be a randomized sampling of the system, and we'll do a statistical analysis of all that. So that's very good news. $397,000, 100% grant. So congratulations to the village for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Yeah.
Phase 1 water system improvements. We are currently in the heart of the design. We are about 50% complete. Gonna be meeting with Don and the crew on Friday to kind of go over some preliminary plans and kind of give them a view of where we're at. Things are going well with that. We're continuing on with the design. So, and that's about, that's all the new things really. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions?
Yeah, well, that tile drain improvement thing,
Yes?
that's just out of our hands and into the counties now?
No,
No.
if you want to do something with that, with the county, the village needs to petition the county drain commissioner to do it, to do that project.
Okay, and as long as we do nothing, they do nothing,
As long as you do nothing, they do nothing.
okay.
So if you want to do improvements on that St. Charles tile drain, which is a county drain, that's a petition that either needs to come from the residents or the village.
Okay.
But once they make a determination, there's no turning back, right?
Well, what will happen is,
I think leave it alone.
once there is a petition, the county drain commissioner will take a look at the project and put together some estimates on what it's gonna cost, and then they will do a board of determination. And that 3-person board of determination will determine whether or not there is a need for the project. And if that board of determination determines there is a need for the project, it will be out of the village's hands and into the county drain commissioner's hands.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
Getting off easy tonight,
Okay.
John.
Well, that was quick. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thanks, John.
Yep, we'll see you.
Thanks, see you, John.
Thanks, John.
Yep.
Move on to the council minutes and approvals, the council minutes for the last meeting. Any questions on those? If not, is there a motion to approve and accept?
I make a motion, we approve the council minutes from June 9th as presented, June 9th, 2021.
I'll support it.
Okay. The support,
I'll support.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Commission and committee reports, Downtown Development Authority for June 11th. Any questions on those?
It looks like it took them a while, but they approved the sign.
Yeah,
Okay.
I had to mention free a couple times.
Okay,
even though
to
they
get
are
it.
Sitting
Got
pretty, pretty fine with money.
I see they allow $300 for repairs.
Tight fisted.
Yeah.
They are.
Obviously, they took this month off, it fell around the holiday weekend, but, next month we should have some good news, some new contracts, or new leases in the Goodrich, perhaps, and maybe a new surprise announcement that we're working on as of today, so.
Okay.
Move on to the Planning Commission for June 17th. Any questions on those?
Sure know who writes them though, that's,
Mm-hmm.
old business A1, right out of the gate, I love it.
Yep. She points out when you arrive late too.
Mm-hmm.
She was here.
And public comment A was, that's a lot, that's.
Oh,
that's-
yeah.
That's called tact right there.
Yes, it is.
What lottery system are we talking about?
The randomized sampling, he,
Yeah.
he wanted us to turn down the grant, or the 100% matching grant unless we got a say over who gets
Oh,
samples.
okay, all right.
And that was 15 minutes, I finally turned off the light. Good to see you again, Kenny.
Yeah, I wasn't aware we had lottery going on.
You don't have a say, since, or we have to fund it ourselves. That's $400,000, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, we all pay for it, true and false.
No questions?
Good news is,
No.
because he was late, we did not get billed for that month.
Oh, that's good. Should I make a motion that we,
Can-
accept and file
Yes.
reports from committees?
Support,
I'll support.
Oh, boy.
$5 fine.
Supervisor Ackerman, can you please turn your phone on?
That's your on-call phone.
Oh.
Telemarketer.
I'll allow it.
Telemarketer, that's right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We did give support, didn't we?
Sarah did.
Yeah. Opposed? None. Okay, committee, communications, I mean. You have one from, play in the park. Any questions on that? Any comment on that?
Can we ever get involved in this year?
Pardon?
I don't, isn't there something going on in
No.
the park?
I
right
thought
now?
the
story walk was gonna be at coal miners, not Ringwood.
Well, that's every,
that?
that's gonna be kind of, it's not necessarily, I think that's something different, that's through the ISD and not the actual
Okay.
parks.
Kathy, this is a county parks, and we're not a county park.
Oh, gotcha.
But I think if we call them ahead of time, if we have something, they'll stick it on here,
Yeah.
Okay.
maybe.
Alrighty, you've got your review magazine. Any comment on any articles in there or anything?
Short-term rental.
Pardon?
Short-term rental, that's what all they've been fighting over for the last 2 months.
Let's move on to payment of claims. Oh, I can't, we're lost.
Why? You're good.
No, I didn't.
No, we already assigned someone. You were late.
Oh, well, that's, I'm glad you took care of that. That's why you're the mayor pro tem.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions about any items on the payments? If not, do I hear a motion to pay the claims?
I move to pay our bills for the month of June in the amount of $234,405.83.
Support?
Support. Oh, that's right.
You're all supported.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
That's a lot of money you're spending.
Yeah.
It's gotta be the highest.
Good move for a newcomer.
Yeah.
Yeah. You jumped in with both feet.
Thought right now, no, we're really good.
New business. Got your audit. Or the audit. It's the thing is that this, somebody must have a question. No question.
I'm still listening.
I was just like,
And
Reading this
Ken is
thing.
with us this evening, and Ken and Darcy did a lot of this work, and we appreciate everything they've done for us.
Hi, Ken.
Can you hear us, Ken?
Hello.
Oh, perfect.
Hi.
Sounds like you're gonna get out of this easy, Ken.
Are you, okay. Are you ready for me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I heard a yes. Okay, hopefully everyone can hear me.
I can.
Okay. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pleased to present the audited financial statements for the year ended March 31st, 2021. I'm happy to report that the audit went smooth again this year. We encountered no problems, difficulties, or differences. We've received excellent help from the village staff also. Based on our audit, we issued the standard unmodified opinion that you see in the booklet there on page 1 and 2. Okay, so unmodified means that's the best possible statement we can put on there, okay? I'd just like to run through a few pages, talk about a few of the bigger items, and this won't take too long. Starting on page 7 in the booklet, hopefully you have that material there with you, page 7. Okay, here we're looking at the condensed statement of activities for the year with comparisons to the prior year. Okay, here you see, now the revenues overall were very similar to the prior year, all the categories of governmental and business type. The property tax revenue, which is the major source of your governmental revenue, that came in at approximately $557,000 compared to $543,000 in the prior year. The millage rate, as you know, is unchanged at 15 mills. The taxable SCV was about the same as the prior year. Okay. The governmental activities expenses for the current year were approximately $1,048,000. That's down about 350,000 from the prior year. You can see the sewer and water expenses in the business type activities there you see. Current year, the expenses there were about 561,000. And those expenses are also down from the prior year, about 196,000 less. Okay, so you spent less money. Altogether, the bottom line net position for the year increased about 488,000. So you had a good year in terms of increasing net position there. Okay, I'd like to move ahead to page 10 in the booklet. Page 10 is the big picture statement of net position. This is prepared on a full accrual basis of accounting, which essentially means that it includes all the capital assets and it includes all the long-term liabilities, such as the pension liability and the OPEB liability. The governmental activities, again, this year report ended up with a deficit unrestricted net position of approximately 1,402,000. You see that in the first column, down towards the left side there in the bottom. Unrestricted deficit, 1,402,000. The reason for that deficit, as you know, is because of the fact that the governmental unfunded pension liability is included there. That liability is approximately 1,287,000. And that's just the part that's allocated to the governmental funds. The OPEB liability, healthcare for retirees, that liability sits at about 890,000 in the governmental category there, you see. So that's where you ended up, okay? Page 13, here, page 13 is a display for the governmental funds balance sheet. And we're talking about fund accounting, we're talking about modified accrual basis of accounting. There's no capital assets included, no long-term liability. The focus is strictly on the current available resources. And that's basically how you run the budget from year to year and in your business from month to month is with the funds. Okay, so on this basis of accounting, there are no deficits. The general fund reports a good total fund balance of about 962,000. So a fund balance of that amount, which equates to about 100% of your annual general fund expenditures budget, that would be considered a good fund balance number, and a very adequate number, okay? Moving ahead to page 15. This is a continuation of the governmental funds. Here on page 15, it's the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balances for the year for those governmental type funds. Overall, the village had governmental revenues in excess of the expenditures by about $300,000 last year. You see that number down in the bottom right-hand side, last right total column there. Change in fund balance, about $300,000 to the good. The general fund revenues last year were about $1,082,000, as you can see there. The expenditures came in at about $901,000. So for the year, the general fund added about $140,000 to its fund balance. So it has a positive increase in fund balance. Probably because the expenditures were down from the prior year. Page 19. Here, page 19 is the statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position for the proprietary funds, which include the sewer and water and internal service. The sewer and water funds here both report positive operating income for the year. The sewer operating income was about 39,000. The water operating income was about 50,000. So those numbers aren't much better than the prior year. It appeared that the expenses had decreased, so you end up with a better operating income. The water fund does, however, report a deficit unrestricted net position on the balance sheet, and that's on page 18. Deficit net position of about 219,000. The water fund in the prior year had a deficit net position similar, but it was only $6,500. So why the increase? And the reason it appears to be that the fact that there was 300,000 of water fund cash that was invested in new capital assets. So you have a net position you just shifted your net position into the investment into capital assets, took it out of the unrestricted cash, basically, now it's in there. So that's why, basically that's why the increase in deficit in the water fund. Of course, a deficit in a fund is never a good idea, I guess. You could say that is something that you might want to take a look at. You know, the water fund and the sewer fund both absorb part of that net pension liability and that OPEB liability on the balance sheet. That shows up on page 17. You know, and so it's similar to the situation you have in the statement of net position back on page 10, where those liabilities kind of skew everything and make it look probably worse than it really is, considering the fact that you are funding your pension, taking care of some of that OPEB liability, and it's not really a huge problem at this time because that's a long-term liability. Okay, that makes sense. So, you know, moving ahead to page 37, a couple more pages I want to talk about. Here, page 37 is in the notes to the financial statements. There's a note number 9, and it concerns the pension plan liability. Okay, so on page 37, there's a nice display there, kind of at the towards the bottom of the page. It gives you a big picture of how that pension plan is really doing. Okay, so the pension liability is you see that note there, the total pension liability. That liability is determined by, it was measured as of December 31st, 2020. And the actuaries projected out based on the retirees you have and the workers and everything. And they figured that that liability should be stated at $4,702,460. And if you were fully funded, you would have that much money in your net position in the plan, but you don't. You have in the plan net position, you have $3,116,000 approximately. That's what's invested with MERS. They've got that invested, of course, in all kinds of things. But so the difference between the net position and the fiduciary plan and the liability is $1,585,000. So that's your net pension liability, and that number is what shows up on that statement of net position that we talked about over on page 10. Okay, so that's where you stand with that. That liability actually went down last year, about $52,000 in total. And one more thing I want to mention is on page 47. Here you see some information about contributions into the pension plan. As you know, the village has been making extra payments or extra contributions into the pension plan for about the last 8 years. You have. Last year, the village was able to put an extra $114,085 toward that pension liability. Over the last 8 years, the village has contributed approximately $487,000 into that pension plan to try to work that liability down. You're doing the right thing. Yep, the liability does kind of hold in there, but if you hadn't made those payments, the situation would be, not as good as it is. So I think that's a good thing. It shows that you're really making some strides there to get that liability taken care of.
Can I have a question
Okay.
on that?
So
Ken?
that's my report. So in conclusion, I'd just like to thank you and I'd welcome any questions
Ken?
you have. Okay?
Ken, this is Chris. And in that pension liability thing, it sounds like we're putting in $100,000 and we're only making up $50,000. So the retirees are pulling off $50,000 more than what goes in there?
Well, yeah, no, see, okay, so let's go back to page 37 there. There's a lot of things that come into play. Payments to, let's see, employer see, there's payments to the benefit payments to retirees last year. For that year was $304,000. Employer contributions in there. Altogether, this was a calendar year, were $182,990. There was investment income on that. You started the year with approximately $2.8 million in there, in that invested in stocks and bonds and all that. And you had a good investment return there. $358,000. That's
Oh, then that
pretty good.
more than
That's
covered our
more than
retirees'
10%. I mean,
costs.
I don't know what percent that is, but that's pretty good net investment income. And so you count on that in order to make those, to be able to provide the money to the retirees. That money, that fund should be making those kind of returns. MERS, they think that in the long term, that money that you've invested with them should make about 7.35%. That's what their projection is. And last year you did better than that. You did a lot better than that 7%.
It's about 8.17%,
Okay.
Lately, the fund has done well
and it's still going,
in
still
terms
doing
of
well.
return on investment.
Okay.
Does that help answer the question there?
And I think some of it is the surplus division, the S1 division, where we're going to make up eventually. That's not just to the general, police, fire, etc. It's the last fund where we've got a big investment in that I don't think shows, it shows as the net position, but not in where it's at, where the liability lies.
Okay. Yeah. It was just a question.
Your pension plan is in pretty good shape now. You're considering that you're about, it looks like, you're 60-70% funded there,
Is that both of
Your
the,
OPEB liability.
both of them? Police and others? So
Oh,
police-
that's
It's
all
not
of
as-
them, yeah.
Okay,
That's
It's
not
not
the
as
OPEB,
good,
but
you know what I
it's-
mean, you're not, that is over on page 41, you see a little display of that. As you know, OPEB, other post-employment benefits for retirees and workers, the liability projected on that is $1,453,000 approximately. And you do have some money in the trust fund for that, $206,000. So that one is only, 10 or 15, well, about 15% funded, it looks like, approximately.
I think when I got here, we were at 8%
yeah.
funded.
That one,
So
you
it's
are
been
making
working,
some
just slow.
contributions
Yep.
into that.
So-
You're paying for the benefits as you go, so you're paying for the healthcare, and you're also paying some money into the OPEB trust.
Oh, okay,
2034, the MERS pension should be 100%.
great.
So you got that to look forward
Yeah.
to.
If you live that long.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
Do you look at all into the future for what we're planning to spend? And if we're putting our money in appropriate places to be able to do those big projects? Or do you not care about those? Yeah,
Well, we care, but, yeah, that's not our focus, I guess no. I mean, as far as like a projection,
okay,
no. I mean, that's kind of up to your manager there, right?
yeah.
Thanks, Ken.
Yeah. That's a very important thing too, that you project most cities that we audit, I mean, they are doing plans like a 5-year projection, you know, keeping that updated. You have to do that. Especially in your water, sewer, you can run into some big costs, you know, and you have to be ready to have the money to do that and so forth. But no. But we try to give you, you know, good information here to work with, you know.
Well, and I think we've done most of this with no loans yet.
Right?
So,
yeah,
really-
you don't have, well, you have no debt, basically.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean. the
We're
only,
gonna though, you just hang in there. You
Yeah, the
just
only debt we have is the pension and the OPEB,
Yeah,
which is great. A lot of communities have bonds and all kinds of debt, you know, hanging out there. So you've done really good. You know, you're working down those liabilities with extra payments. You're not incurring any other long-term debt you have, and so you're doing good. I guess one of the things I've been hearing a lot about recently is these ARPA from the funds that the federal government is passing out through the state.
People wanna use that
You're
money.
probably up on that, right?
Yeah, I think they're receiving about $198,000.
Yeah, you'd be on that list for that money, and then some of that. Well, I read the compliance requirements, and they're saying there you can use it toward sewer and water, and broadband is another thing they mentioned. But you have sewer and water funds, so you might be able to use that fund in there, those monies in those funds.
That is the goal.
Yeah. You have until 2024 or something like that, you know, to do that, to spend it and stuff. Gotta get it first, but,
yeah.
right.
We applied.
We're just working on that right now, the application and stuff.
Any further questions? Well, thank you.
Okay, well, very good. Thanks for allowing me to do this on the WebEx. It's nice. Hopefully it comes through. Okay.
It did, it came through just fine, thank you.
Okay, very good.
Thank you, Ken.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have to accept this audit?
Here.
Oh.
I'll just sign off.
Oh, okay.
See you later.
Okay, well, bye now. And my video's off. I don't wanna see myself.
Okay. Do we have to accept this?
I think we should.
Do we have a motion to accept the audit for 2021 or 5?
It's the audit ending March 31st, 2021. I make a motion, we accept the audit as presented.
Support? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Audit for 2021 has been accepted.
You do a nice job. They did send me some letters though that I didn't get in time to I mean, I didn't look at my email.
No.
With some questions, but evidently they did okay without me.
Next item on the agenda is the voting for the MML trustees.
This is something I did last year, but just took a motion of the board to approve me, to allow me to send in my votes. So I think we should do the same.
Do I hear a motion to do so?
So moved.
Support?
I'll support.
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Opposed? You have permission.
Excellent.
Jim will fix it.
Yeah, she'll make it sound good.
Yep.
Thanks, Jen.
You're welcome.
Uh-huh. Pool house.
This is just discussion to start, kind of, I've mentioned, Sam and I talked, Sam Mayor, about either demoing or looking into ways to turn that into something for the disc golf course, the pool house. And I kinda wanna start the discussion on what you would like to see, or what because Sam was, one of the things he brought up was getting a quote to look at demoing, moving water, things of that nature, to get a kind of a kitchen in there. I don't think we need a second concession stand, but I don't mind having something where if it starts raining, they can hide out or put their discs or something underneath. I did send a picture last week, kind of where he was thinking, and it's just discussion only because this is a hot topic in town about the history of the pool house and what to do going forward. So the next two items really are just that. So I'm looking for some thoughts and maybe even guidance on where to go, or if just let it be for now. I mean, it is a liability, it is on our insurance. The next two items are. They probably carry a lot of the liability in town. That just, it just sits there. I don't think we have anything in it, that's correct. The umpires for the Little League put their covers in there, but that's about it.
The interior of it's, the way it's designed isn't real useful for
It's not.
storage.
There's too many cubby holes
Yeah,
and,
there's too many nooks and crannies and there's no good access to
well, it was all showers and stuff like that.
changing areas.
Would it be okay to kind of get some quotes on looking at perhaps taking out each half or just one half and see what that would cost? And see what maybe the savings would be on the liability insurance, or,
I think it's a good idea.
What did you?
I know it's,
I'd be fine with it just being a cement slab, like a patio situation or something like that. I don't,
or more
Like a
parking.
pavilion.
or like
Oh, yeah, I was thinking like a
something like
pavilion too.
that, but yeah. It's just gonna keep getting older and wearing away and just, it needs to
Not
go.
really
You
anything
realize that
you
was
can
our
really do with
history.
it, is it?
That's great, it has no use and it's a liability.
Yeah, but that's the tough part, is it does bring back fond memories for so many people.
Remember when they built that?
And then what's it gonna look like in 15 more years,
Right, it's
20
gonna
more
look more
years?
dilapidated and.
And then it's gonna be, yeah,
Well, they're not, it doesn't get painted every year like it did before, and it didn't have the kids put the stuff up on it, and
Yeah.
it's just.
And I
sitting
just don't
there.
see putting more money into something that's not being used, it's just a waste of our money.
I had, called Hart the other day. We went through Au Gray and they've put in a new water park. I wish Marie was here right now.
Oh, yeah,
And,
she loved her water.
yes, she did. But it's a very small water pad that just shoots, and there were kids all over it. And it's certainly not as big as this room. It's got some slides on it and water that spouts out of it. And did you ever call anybody or find out?
I've got all the info
Okay.
that you would want.
Okay.
What would be the liability of that though? I'd be
Great
kinda
question.
concerned of that if a kid slips, my kid slips, cracks her head on there and,
Yeah.
and what water are we using? Are we using the city water? Like what's
I think
pumping?
that water rotates. I mean, I think it just,
Because I'm just saying,
goes
if
through a
depending on what water, I
filter.
mean, we've raised water bills and we'd be using water that we've already raised bills to,
Yeah.
as a taxpayer, I don't know if I'd really wanna see that.
I spoke with Dale Wiltsey, who's the city manager in Eau Grais. They received a $125,000 grant
Okay.
for this. And then they had just put 50,000 or 25,000 in with valves and electrical. They just budget for this, but it's about 20,000 gallons a day. They,
Do they pull it out of the lake river, or is it their water?
It's their water. So he estimates max flow from every head times the hours that they're open, which is 11 a.m. till 8 p.m., 7 days a week, from Labor Day to Memorial Day to Labor Day. So that's how he kind of determines what to budget
So
water-wise.
it's,
Then they charge a full rate for water in the city. It's 45 feet in diameter.
Okay.
And he said if I could do it again, I'd make it bigger. So it's a three-year process to get all the grant money through the Aranac and Saginaw Bay Wind and Community Foundation. So the Healthy Living Grant as well. He gave me the name of the rep for the splash pad. She's the sales rep and her husband does the work, so they're out of Flint, Grand Blanc. So he estimates about 95 days that they're really open, and half of that, some days there's bad weather or rain and doesn't have to.
And it's
budget.
running, because when we go by there in those hours, it's running, whether there's somebody there or not.
and you said 20,000 gallons?
20,000 gallons
That's
a
like
day.
a pool and a half of water a day.
And I think there's a way to do it too, cause I know the one in Sanford, it's on like timers. So when you wanna do it, there's like a button that you can press
hit a
that
button
starts it,
that
so it
starts it,
doesn't
yeah.
just keep
Turns off.
cycling the whole time.
Yep. And then 10 minutes later, you have to.
Yeah,
do it
you
again.
have to keep
I
fitting it.
wonder why you couldn't recycle it.
No,
And he said there's probably a way to.
Cause you have to treat
That's
it
the thing,
too at that
if you don't
point.
you
treat
would-
it,
you'd
you
have
get
to
sick.
treat it. What if
Yep,
we
he got in a lot of trouble for that because he went through the.
That's like, it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, or
Yeah.
you're, like,
You
if
have
you're
to-
recycle river water, it's like recycle river water.
Well, he
Yeah.
said
Contaminate.
if he had to do that again, he wouldn't get the discharge permit. He would just do it. Let Eagle find out later. He said because it's chlorinated water, but he said the process was awful. And they had to check it every day, and the
Yeah.
counts to attract for it were terrible. So he'd say, "I just discharge into whatever you have nearby." And it
Well,
kind
he has a
of
really nice harbor real close, real by.
so the DNR Harbor deeded them the land in 2015.
Okay.
So
So
they have a
they
nice
don't-
part.
Well, they have our ship there too now. It's the same ship we have over here.
Yep.
I thought, ooh, I should stop in town to put in chalkboards.
Good idea.
So they don't discharge it into the sewer?
Mm-mm. Nope. And he says, "What do you have over there? The Bad River?" And he
That's
said,
where they
through the phone,
discharge it,
wink.
you know, right out to the.
Chlorinated water going in the waterways, they usually do
Mhm.
not like to see that.
Nope. But that
We
was
have to
his.
run down through the drain, down through the parkway there and stuff.
Fish don't like chlorine so well.
Yeah.
It was just a thought when I saw it, cause it was
But that-
small and compact and,
But that area could, I mean, especially if you could somehow funnel the water, or somehow clean it, but I don't know, that's tough. It's not like it's a
There's
pond
ways
to the waterfall.
dechlorinate it, but it's still not,
Yeah.
that's a lot of water.
More work and more
A lot
cost
of
there.
water. 1.8 million gallons a year. 1.8 million.
well, we went through a lot more than that with the leaks in the pool.
That's
but
what I
um,
thought.
It's very expensive.
Mhm.
If we ever did do something like that, it should be metered. You know,
It should be, and somebody should have to
and
pay
we should
for
pay a
it.
water bill for it, not just count as their loss.
Yep,
Yeah. Well, that's something that
Absolutely.
wouldn't be bad there, it's just how do you make it work and fiscally responsible at the same time? Because he says it's,
yeah, cause there's nobody there watching those kids.
nope, he says it's lifeguard, no lifeguard on duty, it's
Nope.
at your own risk, but he says it is packed from 11 until 8.
It
Every
has
nice
been.
day.
There's days and there's just all kinds of kids, and they just run through it.
Mhm.
And it's not a-
If you
it's not
paid
a
to get in there,
cement
that would be
pad.
some revenue.
It looks like it's like a non-skid
Yeah.
pad of some kind. But, and there's slides in there and things you climb on, which I thought, ooh, I don't know, but
Dangerous. of pros and cons to it, but.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's something that should go by a park committee too.
Yeah. And that's both of these, well, listen, you know, it's gonna have to go through the next committee that we just started the conversation a couple weeks ago, and they had a meeting on Monday and had a lot of concerns regarding the next issue, so.
I don't know, I think it'd be nice to put like a pavilion there and then maybe even just put,
Sprinklers.
but no, they,
Tiny sprinklers.
There you go.
What about one
Slip
of
and slide.
those?
I just think it's a huge liability on our part
That's
to have
kind
it.
of
And
my
that,
concern if,
so I think, like, you know, if you did a pavilion, like you were saying, for them to hide out if it's raining, then you can get the disc washing stations that they have,
Oh, I've never seen
put those in there so they can wash their discs,
And
that
was-
kind of thing.
And that kind of was what spurred the conversation, was the disc golf tournament in Chesaning that brought in $4,100 and brought a
Right.
ton of people to town to go eat, drink, and be merry, bringing business to the locals, which is something we've been trying to do, especially during the pandemic, the hardest hit.
I just think that makes more sense than a splash pad, cause I feel like the liability on that's just gonna be,
I think
What about one
Hart
of-
has a pretty good partnership with the people that use the disc golf course. They actually contribute and
They
help
do.
instead of,
Well, I think that then involves getting rid of the whole thing. Just get rid of it, the building.
Is the building in
build-
bad shape?
It's just cement block and the paint's all peeling off it and the, you know, it's been there since 63, something like
Yeah,
that, 61 maybe?
63.
61, because while we were still in grade school, or in
I
High
used to swim in
school.
High
that pool
school.
when I was in 8th grade.
Yeah,
I mean,
So
50
it's been there a
years next
long
year, it's
time.
high school.
and that's really what was wrong with the pool itself. All of the paint had peeled off and kids were sticking to the sides with their bathing suits because it was so rough and I don't know how many tiles I went to Saginaw and bought to put along the side because they fall off in the winter, every winter, and then they weren't making that color anymore. It was just, it was a big cost, that pool was, and actually I've always been against a splash pad. I said, once you get out of that stuff, stay out of it. That involves water and splash pads and swimming pools and,
liability.
because it's not available here long enough to make it worth your while to run it.
right,
well, not even that, it's, look at where we're at, like, right now, they wouldn't be able to use it because the mosquitoes are so bad.
So bad, they're terrible.
I mean, you can't be
Yeah.
outside. So then, I'm not gonna send my kids out there to play in it to get tore up. And how many other parents are gonna do the same thing?
Yeah, that's fine. Then I think it should just be look at building a covering, which they would probably help us do.
Correct.
A small pavilion like Charlie Shavato's building. It doesn't have to be a big. And then
Or
if it,
even I would be okay too with the one like the size of the other smaller one.
the front one,
Yeah,
well then,
I'd rather see
then
it
we
do
could
that
rent it
than
out if
have
we
it
wanted
just,
to.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Make
Oh,
money
people
off of
rent
it.
that one all the time in the front, don't they? Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
they go like hotcakes.
Mm-hmm.
And that helps us too, in the long run. Cause now we have another pavilion in that.
And they've been rented out every weekend, except for one this entire summer.
They've always rented well.
They get 40 for the small, 60 for the large, and the gazebo's 42, and that's run it all summer too, so.
There's been some
Okay.
weddings up there this year.
That would be a pretty place back there by those woods, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I'll take this to Parks and,
Price, good price.
yep, and I'll
Good
work with
idea.
Sam, and now that we're working with his nonprofit as well on some other endeavors that I think will be helpful in the future as well.
Do we wanna discuss the next item too?
Yep, I mean, we don't have to, but I
Oh.
thought I should make you aware that I began the conversation with them and about selling of the land. We split the land late last year, and they wanted to know the details, so I sent them the picture, and they wanted to know what they would get, and can we still park on your property, and I said, absolutely. One of their concerns, which is viable, is, they're it's zoned residential, and they're technically a business. Well, we have other properties in the village that are with the same boat, and I mentioned we're going through the zoning ordinance and the planning process. and that I don't know if they'd be grandfathered, but, you know, once the sale, they'd have to either change, but what we had talked about, last month was that we'd start a list anew, once this is completed, once the zoning ordinance rewrite is completed. And anything that we knew of, we would kinda just document, but we weren't going to do any kind of enforcement. And I said, there's plenty of room back there to put a fire suppression system in, to kinda help you with your liability issues, and they said, yep, we've talked about that, so. I mean, I would be, you know, Dennis Collison, I'd offer it to him for $1.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm considering, and I would just like some kind of blessing or,
I
you know,
agree.
discussion before I
Yep, I agree.
formally say this is what we're offering, and, you know, if you wanna move out, you know, to Swan Creek or something, even though you're the St. Charles Haunted House, we understand. But again, that comes with significant liability insurance and coverage.
Do they carry their own insurance, or do we carry it all?
We carry it.
They don't get their own insurance?
They have it, but it's
Okay.
our
It's
building.
like one of those through Lloyd's of London.
It's just under our umbrella policy, isn't it?
It's a pretty penny.
Hmm.
Big old number.
Yeah, so
Did you think about offering them a package deal?
What, give them the water tower too?
that joke
For
was
another
made.
dollar?
That joke was made, not by me. I'm just saying.
Me neither, but.
I mean, it's right
Did I
there.
say that?
It's right,
You want to park there? It's yours.
yeah.
But I think I don't even know if a motion to, you know, just enter the conversation, but maybe in the future I will need that. But I just want to let you know this is where we're moving forward on this, trying to work out a deal. I know last year they were hurting because they didn't have a season really due to COVID. They didn't bring in any money, so.
Yeah, but what's the cost? This is not what it costs us.
No. That's just the coverage on it.
Just disclaimer.
I mean, it looks like big numbers and it is, but that's not the cost of the insurance.
Do they still donate to like the parks and stuff like that, or?
No,
I thought they were donating to like the school for like scholarships and stuff like that.
yeah, but that's not
grants
us,
once in a while.
Do
so.
they?
They donate
Yeah.
everywhere but here.
Yeah.
What they do is the most, isn't it? Is
Mhm,
donate
that's what I
to the
thought.
schools.
And football.
They do it because they expect it back in sweat equity at their haunted house.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're gonna get grant money, expect to show up and work
And they
your tail
do,
off.
the kids
Yeah.
do show up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to, at one time, we used to get $20,000 a year for the parks.
Which is huge.
And then at one point, it went to 10. And then I don't know, it's just disappeared over the years.
It went to when Matt's endeavor, when he's working on that huge playscape, I believe was the last time that we received anything on that behalf. And after Matt left, it dried up. And last year.
But we used to work it too,
Right.
the people from here, I mean, I worked it.
I did too.
We wanna see them be successful,
Mhm.
Absolutely.
and you know, they need to
And a
open
little
and-
safe, safe is good.
Yep, safe
Yeah,
is
that's
always
real
good. Which is our major concern. Not what it's zoned.
No, they can get variance.
Mhm.
They can-
I know some people.
I know some people. And that board hasn't met in a long time.
Mm-mm.
Or does the planning commission do that?
It could be, planning does, it'd be ZBA though.
Does the Board of Appeals do anything?
Um,
I don't think so, not anymore.
no. No. Go planning to ZBA or right to ZBA, we're kind of reworking that right now,
Okay,
the process when whether.
who gets what?
Yep, who determines where it goes. Just trying to get Scott some more power. Kidding, Scott.
Well, if you can get a zoning board of appeals meeting, they're always really interesting. Both sides always show up.
Oh, yes.
Well, thank you for that. I know they're not sacred cows per se, but they're sacred cows. So it's,
Oh, but if it was still there, that would be perfect. It's not like they run anything by us first. I mean,
right.
yeah. Do they pay us rent for the building?
I don't think so. I think there's a lease that's,
I think the rent was the $20,000 we got for the park.
should look at the lease.
Nah, I bet it's not there.
What did you do?
Insurance policy.
I don't remember. That was before me.
No, I think it looks like you made them get the insurance policy though.
I did.
Go back.
When you talked to them, did they sound like they had any interest in?
He did, right out of the gate, he was excited, then he went to the board, and that's when the excitement kind of subsided.
Oh,
Who are you dealing with now?
Nick? I can't think of his last name. He's wondering, the whole parcel, and can we still use the rail trail parking lot? Yeah. It's public. Nick's last name. What is it?
Kirk
Yep,
Hugh?
Kirk Hugh.
Turned it over to him to do.
Yep. Good work. Donnie boy.
so do you need any action by us to maybe?
I don't think right now, I just wanted, I wanted to talk with you first before we move forward with either.
And we'll come down the road if something happens.
Right.
Okay. Any further discussion on these two items? If not,
Oh, here. Give that back to me.
if not, let's move on to the departmental reports, DPW report. Mr. Don? Anything you wanna?
It's pretty much standard maintenance, I think we're getting ahead and then we get 5.5 inches of rain in 2 days. So, the only thing I'd like to mention, I don't know what we can do about it, but down at Lumberjack Park, there's an issue of people feeding feral cats down there.
Still.
And it's becoming quite a nuisance, I mean, there's stains under the pavilions, flies, and it's just, every day we're picking up cans and tops and containers where they're.
Like cat food?
There was dry cat food scattered all over the place, empty wet cans, like a to-go box, you'd get like a 20's lid ripped off with milk and food in it. It's not a little, it's a lot.
Does anybody see anybody doing it?
I think we know who it is. Scott and I found 2 or 3 things in the ordinance today that we're going to have the police talk to this person tomorrow and go from there.
Any help you can give us, I'd appreciate it.
Yep, and there will be, the possibility of civil infractions that lead to the court system or fines that could make it very costly to do so.
Okay.
They may think they're doing a good thing, but it's they're.
Raccoons they're
not-
bringing
Yeah,
in
they're
and-
not just feeding the cats, they're feeding.
And wildlife in too.
All animals.
And apparently this person used to do it at the haunted house and they kicked him out. So now, they told him to go right over the park, and so that's why I was like, oh, okay, let's start some conversations,
It just seems
negotiations.
like the last 2 months it's all started, maybe that's when they
Yep,
got him
they
out
put
of
up
there.
cameras, they put up some blockades and booted him, and said, why don't you go over here to the park? So we will. we're on it.
Waterfall Observatory. They could go there.
Yeah, and I know last month we touched on it, but the waterfall does seem to be, the work we've done, it seems to be working. So
Does it?
we've got lower cost pumps in there that seem to be doing okay, so we reworked the intake a little bit out of the river it seems to be working, so.
Do we have birds in there?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, I'm talking the waterfall.
Oh, not waterfowl,
No,
waterfall.
Yes,
Gotcha.
waterfall, yeah. No, the waterfall part is just flowers and,
Mhm.
You
Butterflies.
You totally elated that guy that you put that bench in for, Dross.
yeah.
He was,
Well, good, I'm happy he's satisfied, so. He
he
donated.
was
the
so, you
bench.
made him so happy when you went to his house and told him about it.
Yeah, that was, Jason did that, he knew the guy, and that was great, so.
He's a nice guy, but he's a little bit particular.
Okay.
Do we have any kind of, requirements for people who wanna put benches along the rail trail in memory of someone?
I don't know if there's any rules, they've just done it and bought.
Outside the
We've kind of
village.
continued, like, some
Inside.
continuity and kind of offered the same type of bench with the same options so they look uniform.
That's what
And
they
then
do, we have that rail trail
Mhm.
that goes by our place up north, and they have the benches, you buy it from the township, and you put what you want on the back of them, and then they set them all along that green, usually at a place where they're looking right at the lake and
We
stuff
take,
like that, but they're all the same.
all the same, and we take requests on where they'd like to see them.
Yep.
We can't promise you that we'll put it there, but we
Okay.
wanna, you know, so.
Okay,
you
I
know,
just
Wiki,
wondered.
well, he used to watch our Little League games from over here, okay, and then this gentleman was this particular spot by the waterfall, and so, we tried to
His son used to go down
tease
there,
him, but.
sit there a lot and
I know, my neighbor that died of Alzheimer's up there, whenever she crossed the bridge by the water, she always said it would be nice if somebody would put a bench
bench
here.
right there, yeah.
And so we all went together and got a bench and stuck it there, but, then we found out the rules, you know, you come here, and that's fine, then they're all uniform and they look nice and,
And that's what we've been doing.
good.
Any help we can get her, that would be.
Yep, we are on it.
Police report? Anybody have any questions on that? Art might have some information if there's any questions.
We submitted a couple grants for, the school safety resource officer, as it says, body camera grant, and then a grant for, new vests.
And that resource officer, is that the same that we were gonna do before COVID?
Correct.
Where like summers, they would work for us anyway,
Correct.
out, and then during school year, they'd be at the school? Okay.
Are these certified
I like
officers?
that. Yeah,
They are certified, fully certified.
it'd be like hiring another officer.
This one. Some of this, it seemed like some of them, used some that weren't certified. Yes, they work for the school.
Looks like it's time for you to come out of retirement.
I can't. I'm not certified anymore.
You let it go?
I didn't know that I could pay to keep it,
Oh, okay.
or I would have. I didn't know that till after I let it go.
I think a lot of us let them go. I let mine go.
Especially nowadays.
Yeah.
So who covers
I
the
wouldn't
rest
want, I
of the
wouldn't
grant?
wanna
then?
work it anyway.
There's 50%,
We would.
okay. Is that out of the
Police budget.
Please
budget?
budget. You probably weren't here when we did that.
I don't think that,
No, that was before COVID.
okay.
And then it just kinda dropped, because there was no school and there was no,
Okay.
okay, you can keep
Any
going.
other questions of the police report? If not, let's move on to the building inspector. We got him here, we can question him to death.
Yes, I have a question.
Uh-oh.
Do we charge for roof replacements now?
Yes.
We never used to.
It's in the ordinance that we hadn't been following. If I recall,
We've
Well, there's-
never followed.
Pardon me?
We've never done that, okay.
No. When you don't do that, and a homeowner has an issue with a install, they file a complaint with the state. It comes to me, or whoever the building inspector is, and the state wants to know, was it installed correctly? And without a permit, I would never inspect it to determine that.
You wouldn't even know they'd done it.
Correct.
Okay.
So this is a way to protect our citizens when they have a roof put on.
Okay.
Because then it does get inspected and I can say either yes it was or no it wasn't.
Now, do you charge for window replacement if it's within the same, if it's the same window?
No, only if it's a, opening change.
Right, if they
Yes.
change the size, then we
Right.
charge.
Yeah,
But if you don't change the size, what about siding replacement?
no.
Okay.
And when Scott first got here, we kinda changed our practices to follow more of the state code. And we voted on that, and this is part of the, part of what came of that.
Okay, makes sense.
Cause we had, what, somebody came in with a huge new roof, and we were trying to figure out what.
Well, it's the same price.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's a blanket
flat
$100, right?
$100, no matter what size the roof is.
Yeah.
And we changed that right off the bat because we were originally looking at square footage and
somebody owed us a
it was
lot
gonna
of
be the
money.
cost of a new.
I was gonna say, the permit was the same as the roof, right?
Yes, yeah. Talking about big permits, Arbor Glen, all of the trade permits, electrical, mechanical, plumbing are final.
Okay.
And the building permit is only 2 items away from getting final. It should be done next week,
Okay,
so that whole project.
so we've got all the money we're gonna get from them?
Yes.
Throw 'em out.
I have a question about number 11. It
Yes.
says the owner's cleaning.
Yes, that has changed. He's since gotten another letter.
I was gonna say, I followed him down Cole Street the other day, and he's hauling a old jumpy
Yes, he,
grill on the back of his bike.
He's still junking.
yes. I sent him another letter. Next Wednesday, it expires. I have a feeling I'm gonna end up in court with him. Actually, I believe we have a judgment on him already. I may have to do a show cause with him.
Are you doing just the one guy, Patch? Or are you doing the other one too, the son?
Well, the son hasn't been, there hasn't been a problem at his property, it's been the father's property. No.
Where's the
Yeah.
son's property?
Right next door.
Right next to him. They bought 2 houses side by
In the
side.
greenhouse?
Yeah, we're.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know this kid had a- oh, okay.
A few years ago, they were moving back and forth.
Yeah.
That's how they would get away with it. They tried.
Well, I have a friend that tells me he watches them come with a wagon, a big wagon of junk. And he goes just past his house, which is on Flint Street, and backs it into the woods. And then a week or so later, he comes back and gets the cart, pulls it back out, and takes it back up to the house.
Okay.
Okay.
A lot of that he's pulling around with
If you need a
bicycle,
name,
don't
I'll
even
give it
have
to
a
you, but-
garbage
Well, doesn't he have anything more?
We had one of those carts, like, you know,
Hand cart,
yeah, hand carts, with that grill, it was a good-sized grill, and it was tied to the back of his bicycle.
Oh,
Just, you know, where
dear.
there's a will, there's a way, but.
That's the ambition, I guess.
Over ambitious. Would be easier to throw it away.
Channel it the right direction.
Well, prices for scrap metal have gone down so much that,
But now it's up.
right, it's
We're,
starting.
we're up quite a ways right
to
now.
increase.
You can't believe people are bringing out 300, 400 pounds. It's a pain in the butt, but at least they don't go sell it on the street. and
Are people starting to clean up because of the price, you think, Dick?
It must be, because I'll tell you what, every day you're getting 4 to 10 people and bringing in, like I say, they're in the back of their car and everything. It's, especially before the holidays. They all go cash in, so they got some beer money.
Cash in the savings account.
And I've known these, most of these, I've known them for years, I've dealt with them for years.
On number 18, on the complaint log, I did speak with the owner
Oh,
for 201 Sunview, and I believe they picked up the application for a building permit this afternoon. So that is gonna get repaired. I'm gonna try and get them to clean up the shrubs around the house when they do.
well, it hasn't been lived in years.
Right, right.
The pool in the backyard, did they empty that?
Pardon?
The pool in the backyard, did they empty that?
I didn't,
It's filled
didn't enter
in,
the
I
backyard.
believe.
I
It's
have to
filled
look.
in?
It's filled in.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of tall grass.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, nobody could mow it because it rained so much.
Yeah, that's true. Or the mosquitoes will
That was horrible.
COVID.
Any other questions of Scott?
I appreciate what you do, Scott.
Thank you.
Okay, public comment,
I got a question.
please stand up,
Don will probably know.
please stand up so we can
Really?
hear you. Yeah,
You know where I live now. Is that ditch, is that a county drain?
I believe it is, I think it's, yeah, I believe it is.
Is that the one that butts up behind
That's
my
a-
house and your house?
that's the one that comes right across from Bell Avenue, right straight down through the behind my
It's
house.
right, it's literally behind my house.
It
butts up here.
bordered the township.
On the other side.
Bordered the township.
On the other side.
On the other side, you're talking,
I'm not on
You're talking the
Bell
south,
Avenue, that's a different drain there, that's a
She's
different.
talking-
The one that
county
goes by, through by Teats there?
it's right at the village.
yeah, it's not
limit.
that one,
It's
that's
right
the
at the
one.
village limit, Dick. It borders the township and the village.
The other one is the one that's in the report since Jason.
It's
Is
not-
that one they dug out back there? Is that the one you're talking about?
No.
Oh,
I
'cause
wish
they
they'd
dug
dig
one
it
out
out
back
and
there,
cut all
too.
the trees out of it, that's
Somebody-
why I wanna know what it
We
is.
would have to look, we can find out tomorrow.
Because there's some big old pine trees I'd like cut out and.
Don, it's probably easier to go back through my
Cottonwoods.
backyard to get to it.
I mean, we can look on the county DPW and see if it's a drain or not on their website.
Cause I would like to know who I have to contact to see if it's a county drain, if they would cut the big trees out of it. Or, I don't think it's a village drain.
Isn't behind your house outside the village?
It's right on the
At
border.
one time,
Yeah.
the village limits ended right at our property line. Well,
Okay.
you know Gail Raymond, she's my neighbor.
Okay,
Pete Trashes used to live across the road
Yep.
from me. The village limit was there, but then when Stearns bought those two lots across the road, they moved the village limit out.
But only on the east side of the road, the
yeah,
west side is still the township.
yep,
That never-
So where I am is actually.
You're the last lot in the village on that
Okay.
side of the road.
So that would be that county drain,
That could be,
We'll look tomorrow.
we can look.
yeah.
Do you have your contact information?
yeah.
Yeah, we'll
We'll,
go ahead and get a phone number.
we'll give you a call in the morning. Or I'll
But-
see you
but
at
if
the
it-
grocery store.
If it involves a county drain, make sure you know what you're doing before you ask for something from them.
Yeah,
Because-
because I don't wanna have to pay for that either.
They'll assess.
And I'll have
Well, you
to.
know, that kinda helps drain your yard, so.
I know, and it
you
does,
may be
it
involved,
floods so bad.
Well, everybody over there would be involved.
Yeah.
They would assess
They're-
everybody that
right.
got drained.
But what it does is it kinda goes like this, down towards her place, because then it takes in, like Bill would too. So, there's no way for that water to run the other way. Different times we had dug out a trench like, to make the water drain down there, because then it crosses the road and heads out towards Caro.
They'll do a little maintenance, but like John was saying, be careful what you ask for, because if they determine it needs to be done, it's happening, and then you will pay for it.
On your taxes,
Oh, really?
for a long time.
There is no free cleanup. Whoever's in that drainage district would pay,
Just be warned.
just so.
Okay, I'll let the trees
Yeah.
grow by my
Yeah,
house.
you might have to
Or
change
if
your
you need to
plan.
cut one out on your own, whatever.
Them trees are like
Just remember,
5 feet around, I
there is a
can't cut them
benefit to
down.
cost ratio there.
No, it'd take me 10 years to chop on it with an axe, Angie.
And it might take you 20 to 30 to pay for the assessment.
No,
Yeah,
Yeah, probably 30
I'd
years.
have to sell out then.
They would fix it, but at a cost.
Okay.
I would just add July 27th, 6 PM, Lions Club concert in the park.
What is it?
July 27th, I believe it's a Tuesday.
no.
What time now?
6 PM.
What kind of music is it?
Whatever Mr. Wiki and the band want to play.
Oh,
High school band.
you're good.
Yes, they are. Yep, he's got that bad song.
He does.
Where do they do it at, Art?
He
They
didn't know what to
normally play
start
in the
with.
pavilion.
Any other public comment?
People sit around the
Gazebo.
pavilion.
Gazebo.
Yeah.
Gazebo.
Lawn chairs.
They sit around the gazebo and listen.
We haven't met to know if Kona Ice or what other things might be there, but they've got meetings next Sunday, so I'm sure they had to have done something by now.
Are
No
they
further
gonna spray for
public-
mosquitoes
They did last night, somebody told me.
at the park?
No,
Oh.
in front of our house.
Mosquito control, and they said no special
Down the road,
sprays right now.
right in the middle of the road.
I
Finally.
noticed the difference.
Yeah, 'cause the fire department called to get sprayed for this Sunday for their pancake breakfast and they told me not,
Pancakes, really?
Nothing
Yeah.
special.
they're not coming out for anything.
No further public comment? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Support?
I'll support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion, meeting is adjourned.